டெஸ்ட் சார் சார்
சார் நீ இரு இப்ப நீ அதுல பேச கேக்குதான்னு பாக்குறேன் நானு. ஹலோ
சார் சொல்லுங்க சார் கேக்குது சார் வாய்ஸ் கிளியரா இருக்கு.
பட் ஆனா வந்து யாருமே மெசேஜ் போடல. நோ மீட் எவரிஒன் ஆக்கிட்டேன் நானு.
ஓகே சார்
சாட்ல அங்க அங்க நீங்க ஃப்ரீ பண்ணிட்டீங்களா? எல்லாருக்கும் சாட் இது போடணும், மெசேஜ் போடணும்ல.
இல்ல வந்துருச்சு, எல்லாருக்கும் வியூ விசிபிள் தான் சார், எல்லாருக்கும் வியூ ஆகும்.
சரிதா, பட் யாருமே பண்ணல. சரி
இப்போ சேட் பண்ணுங்க சார், இப்போ சேட் பண்ணுங்க. உங்களுக்கு ஹோஸ்ட் பண்ணிருக்கேன், நீங்களும் அந்த மாதிரி பண்ணிக்கலாம். பர்மிஷன் கொடுக்க ஆட் பண்ணிக்கலாம், எல்லாம் பண்ணிக்கலாம் சார்.
ஓ நான் வரவங்கள பண்ணிக்கலாம்ல?
நீங்க ஆட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். ஆமா, உங்களுக்கு பர்மிஷன் கொடுத்துருக்கேன், எவ்ரி ஒன் கொடுத்துருக்கேன். நீங்க சேட் பண்ணுங்க.
சாட் ஆமே ஆடிபிள்னு கிடைக்குது, வருதா? யாருமே என்ன எல்லாரும் சாட் வருவாங்க, யாரும் வருது.
இப்ப சேட் பண்ணுங்க, இப்ப சேட் பண்ணுங்க.
வருதா?
அப்ப ஹேண்ட் போட்டுருக்கீங்க, வாங்குறோம்.
பட் அவங்க சேட் பண்ண முடியாது யாரும்.
சேட் பண்ணலாமே சார்.
யாருமே வரலையே. யாருமே சேட் பண்ணல.
சார் क्वेश्चन ஆன்சர் இருக்கு பாருங்க, சேட் பண்ணிருக்கேன்.
இதுல क्वेश्चन ஆன்சர் இல்லையா? அதுல போறோம். இப்ப chat disabled சார் வருது எல்லாமே.
அது முன்னாடி பண்ணுங்க சார், இப்ப பாருங்க செக் பண்ணுங்க.
தட் இஸ் டிசேபிள் தான் வருது எல்லாருக்குமே. பண்ணிட்டியா இப்ப? அதெல்லாம் வருது குரு. இதுல சாட்ல இப்ப क्वेश्चन ஆன்சர் பார்க்கணும்ல?
ஆமா சார், ஆமா சார். அவங்களுக்கு விசிபிள் மட்டும் தான் பர்மிஷன் இருக்கு. நீங்க அலோ ரைஸ் ஆன் பண்ணாங்கன்னா அலோ பண்ணிக்கலாம்.
சொல்லுங்க சார். இல்ல பண்ணிட்டாங்க, இப்ப இது பண்ணிட்டாங்க. ஓகே ஓகே. என்னாச்சு? சரி சரி. ஏன் டிசேபிள் பண்ணிட்டாங்களா என்ன சொல்லணுமா எங்க இதுல? சரி. ஹலோ அட்மின். ஹலோ.
எஸ் சார், சொல்லுங்க சார்.
இப்ப நான் வந்து क्वेश्चन ஆன்சர் பண்ணணுமா சாட்ல போகணுமா? எல்லாமே
நீங்க சாட்ல போனா எல்லாமே போயிடும் சார். क्वेश्चन தான், क्वेश्चन ஆன்சர் தான் சாட் பண்ணுவோம்.
சரி ஓகே ஓகே. இப்ப ஓகே
நீங்க சாட் பண்ணிடுங்க.
அதெல்லாம் கைண்ட்லி ரிமூவ் தி chat disabled everyone அது கேக்குறாங்க. அது என்னது? lot of parts were joined is also not visible.
சேனல் லிஸ்ட்ல இருக்கவங்க மட்டும் தான் சார் வியூ பண்ணி அக்சஸ் பண்ண முடியும். அட்டெண்டன்ஸ்ல
அவங்க பார்க்க முடியாது இல்ல?
அவங்க நீங்க பண்றது உங்க ஸ்கிரீன் மட்டும் தான் அவங்க எல்லாரும் பார்க்க முடியும்.
இப்ப சார் வந்துட்டாருன்னா சார்.
ஆமா சார், யாராவது பேசணும் அப்படி அலோ பண்ணணும்னு நினைச்சீங்கன்னா ஹேண்ட் ரைஸ் பண்ண சொல்லுங்க. அதுல நீங்களே அலோ பண்ணிக்கலாம். உங்களுக்கு கோஹோஸ்ட் தான் பண்ணிருக்கேன் நான்.
இப்ப ரைஸ் ஹேண்ட்ல போய் நான் என்ன பண்ணணும்?
இல்ல நீங்க இல்ல சார், யார் பேச வராங்களோ அலோ டு டாக் போகணும்.
ரைஸ் ஹேண்ட் கிளிக் பண்ணுவாங்க.
அவங்க கிளிக் பண்ணோம்னா அலோ டு டாக் கொடுக்கணும். சைடுல பட்டன் அட்டெண்டன்ஸ் பேனலிஸ்ட் இருக்குங்களா, கிளிக் பண்ணிட்டு அவங்க ஹேண்ட் ரைஸ் பண்ணணும். அட்டெண்டன்ஸ்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா அந்த அலோ கொடுத்துடலாம். நீங்க அலோ டு டாக் கொடுத்துடலாம்
சார். அங்க அந்த இது சாரால வந்து பிபிடி இப்போ இது பண்ண முடியலன்றாரு. ஏன்னா பிரச்சனை இருக்கு, அதெல்லாம் ஒன்றும் கிடையாது. இல்லை
யாருக்கு சார்?
இப்போ இவருக்கு பேனலிஸ்ட்டுக்கு
பேனலிஸ்ட்லாம் ஆக்சசபிள் தான் சார், ஆக்ஸ் பண்ணலாம்.
பிபிடி ஏதோ அசஸ் வரலன்னு நினைக்கிறாரு. நீங்க ஏன்னா அசஸ் கொடுக்குமா பிபிடிக்கு? அதெல்லாம் ஒன்றும் கிடையாது. இல்லை
அதுல இல்ல சார், பேனலிஸ்ட்ல வந்துட்டார்ல சார், வந்துட்டாருன்னா எல்லாமே பர்மிஷன் உங்களுக்கு வந்துருக்கு பாருங்க, ஸ்கிரீன் ஷேரிங் எல்லாம் வந்துருக்குங்களா?
ஆமா, அதே மாதிரி சாருக்கு வந்துருமா?
அவருக்கும் வந்துடும்.
சார்ட்ட சொல்றோம். சார் பேனலிஸ்ட்லாம் வந்துக்கிறாரு, வேலை வந்து செக் பண்ணீங்க.
ஹேண்ட்ஸ் டவுன் பண்ணுங்க சார், ரைஸ் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க.
ஓகே, அது பண்ணிடலாம். இப்போ சார் ஆனிஷ் வந்து பேனலிஸ்ட் இருக்கிற எதில் இருக்கிறாரு? இப்போ மாறி என்ன வந்துட்டு இருக்கோ அதான் பார்க்குறேன் நான்.
இல்ல நீங்க அட்டெண்டன்ஸ்ல பார்த்தாலே தெரிஞ்சுங்க, அவங்க இல்லையே ஒன்றும் வரல சார்.
சொல்ற பேனலிஸ்ட்ல வர சொல்றேன் நான். சரிங்க, அவர் வேற இல்ல வந்துக்கிறாரு. சொல்லுங்க அனீஷ். உங்க ஒன்று தான் சரிங்களா? அது அனீஷ் வந்து நான் ட்ரை பண்ணுறேன். ஒரு நிமிஷம் நான் ட்ரை பண்ணுறேன். ஹலோ, சொல்லுங்க மேடம், ஜாயின் பண்ணிட்டீங்களா ஜூமில்? ஜூ என்னது?
ஹலோ.
எஸ் சார், சொல்லுங்க சார்.
Okay, sir. Am I audible?
எஸ் சார், யூ ஆர் ஆடிபிள் சார்.
Sir, but PPT I cannot see.
யுவர் பிபிடி சார்.
Yes, sir.
The screen sharing is there, sir.
Sorry?
Sir, you view your screen sharing.
No, sir. You are sharing from your end now.
1 minute, sir. 1 minute.
Ah.
ஓகே, இப்போ கேக்குதா? ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ. Anish,
Yes, sir.
we can start, sir.
But the PPT is not shared. Can you see my PPT?
I'm seeing. You can see now. நீங்க
I cannot
panelist
see. I can see only that system folder only, but it is.
It is visible now.
No, it's not.
One minute. அப்படி சாருக்கு விசிபிள் ஆகலையாம்மா? எதை எதை மீட் பண்ண? ஓகே ஓகே ஓகே. Anish, good evening to all present here. Now we'll move on to the third session of our short-term program. Today's session is handled by Dr. A.S. Anish Kumar on the topic Tip to Write a Research Proposal. Dr. Anish Kumar is a post-graduation in MSc Information Technology and a Master of Computer Application MCA, and also obtained MPhil in Computer Science. He also completed his MSc Psychology and MA Criminology and Criminal Justice Administration. In the year 2016, he was awarded PhD from the University of Madras. His current responsibility is the HOD of Department of Computer Application in AJ College of Arts and Science. Previously, he worked in Alpha College of Science, Porur. He has presented various papers in national international conference and also published articles in Scopus Index Journal, Science Series Index Journal, and UGC CAT Journal. With these few words, I welcome you, sir, to the seminar and another session to you, sir. Anish Kumar, you can start.
Good evening, everyone. So today let us.
Hello, you can
Yes.
start, Anish.
Am I audible now?
Audible, you can start.
Okay, fine. Okay, good evening, everyone. Now let us going to start the session. So today we will see how we can write a research proposal and what are the tips we have to follow to complete a research proposal. Once we are starting a proposal, it will be a tedious task. We will consider as a tedious task to start the work, because before starting the proposal, the investigator or the researcher should have a proper idea that what they are going to do and what will be their expected conclusion. Without that idea, they cannot complete a proper research proposal on time, because moreover that the time is also a constraint in this research proposal. So first of all, an investigator or a researcher should identify the idea. Once they got that idea, then they can slowly move on writing the proposal. Once the proposal is approved, then he or she can carry down their research. So this is a normal structure of a proposal and research work. So before entering into the proposal writing, let us see a small introduction about what is research. So a research refers to search for knowledge. So normally we will hear that it's a research. The meaning is correct, because already some knowledge is hidden somewhere. Maybe that may not be identified by some other researchers, or maybe that will not be exactly identified by the researchers. In such cases, we are searching and identifying such knowledge, that hidden knowledge, and we are publishing it to the research community. So research means a scientific and systematic search. It should be a scientific, it must have a scientific background, and it should have a systematic approach, step-by-step approach for pertinent information on a specific topic. So many researchers, when they are starting the research work or doing some graduation on research, they may not complete the exact work because they are not reaching to the specific topic. They will write something and they will search here and there in a broad manner. It may be a problem for the most researchers. So once they are reaching to the narrow down topic or specific topic, they can easily complete research as well as proposal writing. It is an art of scientific investigation. It can be called as an art of scientific investigation. So here we are identifying the knowledge through this scientific investigation. So there is a procedure of investigation. The purpose of research is to discover answers to questions through the application of scientific procedure. So once you, as we told, once you are starting with your idea for writing the proposal or for finding the research or starting the research, you should have a scientific procedure that should satisfy the questions of that research. That means once you are having the idea, you should have a goal. That goal must have a question. That means whether I am going to find this or that, or what will be the hypothesis, that is expected output. These are the questions. So to identify answer for that questions, you should have a scientific approach, that's scientific procedure to complete the research. So this is about research. So once we are starting proposal writing, we should know what is research. Then from that research, we are going to start the proposal writing. So any research should have a proper proposal in written form before it is actually carried out. So before starting any research work, it might have a proper proposal, which should be written format. That means previously we can say it is a written format. Now we can tell it is a typed or hard copy or whatever the format. Because without that proposal, even when you are going to register for a PhD or MPhil also, initially the university or colleges will ask for the proposal. Or when you are going for a project or something it is, that is like a basement. Whenever, for an example, I can tell you that if you are going to construct a house, first you will create a blueprint for that. That is a model for the house, how we are going to construct the house, where the bedroom should be, where the bathroom should be, where the hall should be. We will have that proper planning. That planning we are called as a proposal. So that means a house is like a research. So there, before constructing the house, we are planning. So similarly, before doing the research, we are creating a plan, step-by-step procedure, that how we are entering into the research and what are the scientific facts supporting for the research and what all are the background for the research. These are all the important things, background for the research and what all are the supporting things and how we are going to do the research and what are the proofs for the research and what will be the expected conclusion. So these things will be clearly specified in any proposal. It is like a blueprint, as I told you, blueprint of a building. A good research proposal is based on scientific facts and on the art of clear communication. So a good proposal should have a scientific facts, that what we are doing, how we are doing, all these facts should be included in this proposal, and it should have a clear communication that how we are doing the procedure, how we are reaching to the conclusion, and what will be the expected conclusion. Writing a formal research proposal should be started by the time one has decided on the topic for the study. This is also important. It should be started on time, because we should clearly mention the period of study also in the proposal. So on time we should start, on time we should complete the research. This is also important. So next we are going to see that the essential ingredients of a research. What are the ingredients we needed for a research proposal? First thing, the issue, that is a problem. Normally we will call it as a problem identification. The issue, that is what a problem does your research address. What is your research? Why you are doing that research? That problem, it should be crisp and clear, because many research proposal will be successful because of this clear problem identification. Once you identify the clear problem, then you can do the research easily. If the problem is not clear, then the researcher will search in darkness. He cannot reach to the exact point of conclusion. Then second point, research design. Once you identify the problem, you should make the design like that. When you are going to construct a house, first you are identifying where you are going to construct, then we are going to make the plan for that. That is, how will the research achieve its objective? That we have to explain in the form of research design. What is objective? Once you identify the problem, you can give a solution for the objective. once you reach the objective, you can identify how you are doing the research, how we are going to achieve that objective. Then the third thing, benefit. What will be the research contribution? Who will be benefited for that research? That should be mandatory, because for a funded project or any other thing, normally government or private funded project, they will ask for the contribution, because without any contribution, no one can do any research. That contribution means a research contribution. I'm specifying the research contribution. That means what is the benefit of this research? Because normally any research will have three benefits. One is it should have some benefit to the society, broad society. Otherwise, it should have a benefit to that research field. For example, if I am doing a research in management or in computer science, that research should have some benefit to that particular field. If I am doing some research in management, I should identify something and that should be contributed to that particular field. This is a second benefit. So either these two are important. Either it should be benefited for the society or it should be benefited for the research field. The third benefit is personal. The researcher or the investigator will get benefit, either in the form of he is getting a funded project, or he is getting some other advantages, or something like that. He is getting degree, or he is getting some financial support. These are the benefit he may achieve. So these three things are very important in any research or research proposal. So then next we are going to see that what are the outlines of a research proposal. It should provide an intellectual content. Any research proposal should give an intellectual content within the proposal, and you should justify that research, that how you are going to do that research and what is the benefit and what are the steps you are involved in that research. And moreover, that this research should be creative. It should not be copied from someone or copied from some other work. So it should be a creative work. Then once you are preparing the research proposal, you think and create it through your experiments. Because if you are the first time, if you are doing it in the first time, you may not have such an experience, but the principal investigator or the guide should have a experience. Or if you are writing a proposal second time or third time, you might know whether this proposal will be accepted or rejected through your experience. Then you should clearly mention the potential problems of the research. What are the problems assigned in the research that you have to mention? And you should create a realistic timetable that I told you. When you start the research, when you are going to complete the research, and what are the schedules you are having within that period of time, that also you should mention. Once you create a clear-cut proposal, then definitely your proposal will be a successful research. It will lead to a successful research. If you are having flaws on your proposal, then that flaws will reflect on your research. Once you are carrying the research, it will reflect there itself. So first, when you are having the idea, you are doing the planning, you should make a complete, clear proposal for the research. So for an example, when you are writing a proposal, first thing, a title, because now we are going to see what are the parts of a proposal, what are the things we have to include in a proposal. So here, the first thing is title. So in title, it should be a mini word. That means a mini abstract. That means while reading your title, the reader should identify what should be your abstract. So it should be a coincidence. It should be the abstract should be reflected in your title. Then the second thing, it should be clear and conscious. That's I told you, clear and crisp title. Should not be a lengthy title. It should not be. It should not include unnecessary things. It should include unnecessary wordings. So the title should be clear. Then it should be short. Then the fourth point is that subject oriented. The title should be subject oriented. So there itself, that's I told you initially, it should be a mini abstract. So it's a clear, conscious, and subject oriented. So by reading the title, anyone can identify what you are going to do. Easily they can identify. So here in the screen, I have given an example that, for example, I want to do a project. I have given GPS address. So there, the work is to identify GPS address. I am doing a proposal which is writing to identify GPS address. So there, clearly GPS address, the word itself gives the meaning that what I am going to do, and it is clear and subject oriented. Then parts of a good proposal. Initially we have seen that title. Then various parts should be included while you are writing a good proposal, which are objective, justification, then introduction, background work, which is normally we will call it as a review of literature, then methodology, time frame and a work schedule, then personal needs and facilities needed.
Which slide I have to show now?
Sir, it's slide number 8. Slide number 8.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Anish.
Okay. So personal needs, that is okay. So personal needs, there we have to mention the affiliation and details of the investigator. Sir, I am getting sound from your side.
Requested to mute. All the particular requested to mute. Yes, I can continue, sir.
Okay, sir, thank you. Then facilities needed. For carry down this research, what are the facilities you needed and what are the facilities already available? Because when you are doing a research in a research institute or in a lab or in some other places, so already there we will have some facilities. We have to mention that facilities as well as the needed things. For example, I need a system or I need a network connection, or these things we have to mention. Then the budget should be mentioned and the outcome of the research should be mentioned. Then acknowledgement if needed and references. All these things should be included in a research. So, because if you are including all these things in your proposal, then only it will be impressive and attractive. Otherwise, it may not be accepted by the other authorities. So the objective, next one, the objective. Let us see what is an objective and what should be included in the objective. Someone is unmuted.
All are requested to mute the sound. Yes, participants, kindly mute your sound. Continue, sir.
Okay, sir. So the objective is nothing but this is the most important part of every research, because based on this objective only we are carried out the research. We can further do the research based on this objective. That's I told you. We are raising the question, and from that question we are finding the objective of the research. So it is the most important thing any research proposal. So the objective of the proposed study or that proposed research should be stated very clearly. We should not write a lot of stories. Nothing is needed there. Objective should be, as I told, title, similar to title, it should be crisp and clear. The objective stated should be specific, achievable, and measurable. That is, it should be a specific one. That is, you should specifically write that what should be your objective. And also, there itself, it should be identified that whether it can be achievable or not. And measurable. If it's not achievable, if you are going behind the objective, is totally like wasting your time for research. You are wasting your time. And measurable. Too many objectives to be avoided. While you are writing a research, because when a new researcher or new investigator, when he or she started their research, they may be more enthusiastic. So they might think that I can find this, I can find that, I can go to this one, I can go to that. Like that, if you are going, as I told you initially, it should be a broad thing. Always narrow down your research and reach to the specific objective. If you are having multiple objectives, it should be relevant. Don't go for irrelevant objectives. So it should be a major factor. And so you should avoid many objectives. If you are having too many objectives, it should be avoided. 1 or 2 or 3 objectives should be preferably good. Even just one clearly stated relevant objective for the study would be good enough. If there is more than one objective, the objective can be presented in the appropriate order or importance. Based on the importance, for example, I am writing a proposal to identifying a particular disease. There, the objective should be clear. That maybe after identifying the disease, I am going to identify the medicine for that. So that is a coordination. That I cannot write that I am going to identify this medicine, then I can identify this disease. So first you should write, I am going to identify this disease. Then only you can go for the medicine, identification of medicine or suggestion of medicine. So that is the order. First, what should be the first and what should be the second. That should mention clearly. Then let us see what should be included in introduction part. Once you complete the objective, let us move on to the introduction part. Many things normally the researcher will do that the introduction may be a lengthy one. So better always avoid this thing, and it should be a short one. I request Dr. A. Samima to mute yourself. Dr. A. Samima.
Dr. Shamima can mute. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, fine. So once you go to the problem, that means introduction part, the problem proposed to be properly studied and explained in the session. So there, in this part include the what is the problem, and it should be explained clearly. Problem identification should be clear. It should help the reader to acquaint with the topic. So introduction should be matched with the topic. So the reader or the authority, those who are checking your proposal, should able to match these things, because I told you while reading the title itself, he or she can identify what should be your proposal content or what should be your research. Then introduction should be short and maximum to be 1 or 2 pages. Do not exceed more than 2 pages. Then the problem should be proposed in such a way that it is important and relevant to the current situation. So there we should give a scope for current situation. So I told you, when once you are doing a research, it should have a benefit to the society. So for current situation or current society, it should have some benefit. So it should be very important and relevant to the current society or current situation. The importance and relevance should be realized by anyone who reads the introduction. So the reader or the specifying authority, once they are reading your introduction, they should identify that your research proposal is very important and it is relevant for present scenario or present situation. This is clearly mentioned in your introduction part. Then let us see, once you complete the introduction part, let us see the background of the study, that is review of literature. We will call it as normally review of literature, because for any research, we should write background of the study. It should support the research. Then only you will get a scope or a lead to the research with the help of this review of literature. Otherwise, you may not get a lead to the research. So this session reflects extensive review of literature done by the investigator. So there you should collect a lot of relevant articles or relevant books or relevant journals or whatever the things that to be indexed things, qualified things. And from that you read, because while reading your introduction itself, the authorities can easily identify whether you know the problem clearly or not. If you are not having enough background study or enough review of literature, the authorities can easily identify that you are not clear on your problem. So collect as much as review of literature and write review of literature in a proper manner to reach to your research program. In this section, what is already known about the topic is written, including the research gap. So there we are writing whatever are the other researches done and what they identify related to this topic only, related to your research only, what they identified, what are the methodologies they used, how they reached to the conclusion. All these things we have to mention with a research gap, because from that research gap only you are going to do the research. To fulfill that research gap only you are doing the research. Just quoting the literature is not enough, because many researchers may write previously, because now it is not possible when this plagiarism checking and everything become very strong. The researcher cannot simply quote and say like that. It is not possible, because it will be identified as a plagiarism nowadays. So just quoting is not enough, because the reader, this investigator read that article or that book, and from that only he identify the research problem. So he or she should write it in his or her words, that what they told and how it is leading to their research work. It helps the investigator to gain good knowledge in that field inquiry, and the same must be reflected in this part. So this research, as I told you, research review help the investigator to gain knowledge in that particular field, specific field, and that must be reflected in this part. It is important to make it logical, accurate, and relevant, and easily readable. Once you are writing review literature, it should be logically correct, and moreover that it should be accurate. Because, for example, if I am writing something, as I told you, some research article related to some data analysis, in which field I am going to do that data analysis, and for what purpose I am doing that data analysis, that should be clear. Unnecessary I am doing that X is done with the data analysis, Y is done with some data. For example, as I told you, if I am going to identify foreign exchange rate, for that I am doing a research, variation in foreign exchange. So there, if I am writing all the literature review related to this foreign exchange, it should be better always, because since it is data, I can say that in medical field they did that data with something, and in engineering field they did data with something. It is not a good practice. Whenever I am doing literature review, I should do that literature review related to that particular field that I told you initially, a specific field. So it should be relevant and easily readable. It helps the investigator to have an insight on different methodologies that is applied by different authors. So while you are collecting and reading different articles and different authors' papers, you will get a clear idea about different methodologies which is used by each author, and how they implemented that methodology, how they got into a conclusion, what is their accuracy level. All these things you can get an idea, because these are all very important. Before you are starting the research work or writing a research proposal, it is more important. Once you are clearly identify all this methodology, then only you can create a new methodology to find something better, or to create a better result, to create a better accuracy. So these all are very important. Normally, whenever you are writing a literature review, it should be like a broad area. It should start with a broad area and narrow down to your specific problem. Then only from there only you are going to start this research gap. So initially, when you start this broad area in your field, I'm telling that again, in your field, not from other different field. In your field, if you are starting with a broad area that everyone knows, when the reader reads, he knows that what is happening and what is going. When you are narrowing down, the reader may not know that, because if the reader is expert on that particular field, he can easily identify. Otherwise, he may not know. He may not aware of that. That may be happened. So that's why we are narrowing down. For example, here I have mentioned that malaria epidemiology. So once you are starting the research, you are starting with a malaria. So there you are explaining what is malaria, what is the history of malaria, okay, what is happened previously in malaria, all these things you are starting. And when you are moving to the next one, that means about malaria, we have given a broad introduction. Then we are reaching to the short thing. So there, life cycle, current control of malaria, present scenario we are mentioning. Because initially malaria started, there is no control, it has been spread drastically, all these things we mentioned. Then narrowing, how we are managing in a current situation, what are the methodology, what are the curing system we are having, all these things we mentioned. Then we are moving again, what are the resistance we are having presently. So there only you are going to identify the research gap. That is, what is the present scenario in resistance, and if there, because we cannot say that malaria is completely cured and it is not spreading. It may spread in a particular time, and we are having medicines for that, even though we cannot stop spreading of that. So the same thing. So there is a resistance thing, but even though there should be a gap for research, that is, you can improve more, or you can reduce the effects of malaria. While affecting the malaria, you can reduce the effects. And moreover, that once a person is affected by malaria, at least it will take minimum 1 week of time to cure that. So you can reduce the time, that 1 week to 3 days you can reduce. That is a research gap. Or immediately you can cure that. Or you can create a resistance to avoid affecting this malaria. All these are considered as a research gap. So you are analyzing that gap, you are identifying that gap. So based on that resistance, that gap, you can frame a hypothesis there. The possibility you can identify, and you can frame the hypothesis, whether it's possible to create more resistance without affecting the disease, or reducing the treatment cost, or reducing the period of treatment, anything, whatever maybe, it's based on your analysis. So there you are framing the hypothesis, and once the hypothesis, you identify the possibility or the satisfaction level, then you can go to the research work. That is a basic thing. So that is, we are narrowing to our problem. Then based on this narrow down, you should include journals, books, and internet sources. Once you are including all these sources for your literature review or review, it may be a peer-reviewed article. Because normally whenever you are seeing some articles, you can find that a reviewed journals and non-reviewed journal, because in journal review, there are different types of review system. Peer review, blind peer review, double blind peer review, like different things. So a reviewed journal means it will be, that article will be reviewed or checked by various persons from that particular field. So always collect such article, and from this, and moreover, check whether this article is published in reputed journals, because that is very important. If it's in a reputed journal, then only that article will have a reputation, because that reputed journal will maintain their reputation in review process. So if something in that article or in that particular material, then only it will be published. Then current literature should be included. So for example, if you are writing a literature review, you can state that in 1999 this is happened, in 1967 this is happening, 1947 this is happening, that is not good for us. Maybe it is happening. Something happened in that year. But whenever you are writing a literature review, maximum you should follow the current publication. Then only you can identify the problem in current situation. That's I'm telling you that. Otherwise, you can identify the problem of current situation. Because if you are doing literature review for 5 years or 10 years back, then you can identify the problem of that year. You cannot reach to the current problem. That problem may be identified and rectified by someone else in previous years. So if you are doing research again on that field, there is no validity for your research because it has been identified or it has been resolved. So repetition of work, it's like a repetition of work without any use. So always identify your problem, which is based on, if so for example, if you are doing your research in 2023, identify your problem based on the review of 2022 articles or 21 article, maximum 20, 21, 22. These 3 years you can identify. And better, always better, if it's a recent thing, then you can easily identify the problem. Then you should identify whether you are doing this review or you are doing this primary literature. So normally whenever we are doing some things in the internet or searching something, you can find that the literature thing or analysis thing will be primarily like a primary data and secondary data. So similarly, that literature may be reviewed again by someone else, because if I am writing something, X will copy from my thing or rewriting my review, then Y will write from X, then Z will write from Y or X or from me. So identify these things. Who is the author of this information and from it is started, and who all are developed. For example, I have found a problem in 2000. Someone will be identify my problem or identify my work as a literature work for 2021. So I am the real author. But even though in 2021, he might be updated from my problem or my work. So read my work as well as read the X work. Then only you can identify what is the improvement he made from my work. If you are doing my work only, then you cannot identify what is the improvement he made. Okay. If you are reading both of this paper, you might get a research gap from here. You might lead to the another research work. So this might be happened. Then once you complete the research review or literature review, you can move on to the research methodology. That is nothing but the methods you are going to implement in your research work. That we will discuss there. The research methodology is a way to systematically solve the research problem. It specifies the way how you are systematically. Initially, I told you that any research proposal should be systematic and scientific. So systematically, how step by step you are solving this research problem, that you have to mention. It is a science of doing research in scientifically. So you can easily identify how you are doing research in a scientific manner. So someone can speak or say something, but that should not be a true thing or that should not be a fact. So if you are writing something scientifically, or if you are having some scientific support for your research, then only it will be accepted. Otherwise, it will not be accepted by anyone. So you should have a scientific support for your research. The researcher should explain not only the research methodology or methods or techniques which you are using the research. It should also mention the methodology which you are going to use in your research. So methodology you have to explain, and what are methods you are using in that methodology should be mentioned. So for example, if I am do for a data analysis or something else, I am doing, for example, for a medical cancer identification, I'm using images for identification of cancer, that is CT scan or MRI scans. So there, my methodology is that I am implementing these images for a data analysis technique or image analysis technique. That is methodology. But in that methodology, what all are my methods? That is innovative methods I am using to identify that particular disease should be mentioned clearly. Because methodology is a broad thing.
Excuse me, sir.
To identify that, to reach or implement that methodology, I can use different methods.
Excuse me,
That, sorry?
sir. The slide is not changed, sir.
Okay. Sir, please go to slide number
Which slide, sir?
19.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So there I should mention what are the techniques I am using in that methodology to achieve my result. That technique should be short and which is not a common. It might be identified by me or implemented by me, or it is invented by me. So that should be mentioned clearly. Then investigator or this researcher not only develop certain indices or tests, but also know how to calculate or implement it. For example, if I am going to do that statistical mean, median or mode or correlation, whatever it may be, I should not explain that how to develop this test or how we are going to implement it or all these things. But I should explain clearly whenever I am implementing this method or this technique or this analysis in this data, what will be expected output and how I am going to implement a correlation, how I am going to implement it, or which field or which data or which variant I am using this correlation, or if I am using ANOVA, for what I am using ANOVA. Normally the researcher will write for this research I am using ANOVA. Yes, madam.
Could you please change the slides? It is in 14th slide.
Sir, Pungavan sir.
Topic, sir. What's the
19th slide? Please go to 19th slide.
Oh, check it up, sir. What's the heading of the slide?
Research methodology. Slide number 19.
This
No, go down.
methods and material.
It's not moving, sir.
No, sir. Not moving, sir.
Not moving now.
Yes.
Sir.
Wait. Now, sir,
Not moving,
Visible?
sir. It's still not moving.
visible,
Visible, it's visible, but I think slide number 14 is visible now.
budget.
Not
Now moving, sir.
Not moving, still there only.
No, sir.
No, it is moving from the 1 minute, sir.
Okay. Now you are in 22.
Now moving,
reached.
sir.
Okay. Yes, Richard, sir. Thank you. So I, as a researcher, I should clearly mention that what are the methods I am using, what are the techniques I am using, and how we are going to calculate that techniques, how you are going to implement that techniques. All these things I should mention. It is essential to discuss procedures clearly and completely with detailed steps. That's I told you. The procedure which we are including in this research work should be clearly mentioned. Step by step things you should clearly mention and completely mention. Normally, there will be a habit for the researchers that he or she might not give a complete work in an article. It is not a good practice because normally researchers, especially doing this PhD, they will think like that 3 papers or 2 papers should be published as a part of research work. So half work should be in one article and the remaining work should be in a second article or third article. So in such situation, that paper may not be completed. Once you are implementing something or using some statistical test or some analysis, you should completely implement that analysis with the specific data and come into the conclusion for that particular analysis. That's why I'm telling you that it should be complete. Incomplete information or incomplete conclusion or complete article or incomplete proposal will not be accepted by any reviewer. And more of that, it should be a detailed thing, step-by-step thing. This section used to judge the validity of results and conclusions. It will always help to judge the validity of results, because what is the methodology you are using and how you are implementing. Based on that only we can identify what should be your output, what should be your result. So expected result validity should be judged by this stage.
And
And
what's the slide number now?
the same slide, same slide.
Slide. Okay.
And the conclusion, based on that expected output only, we can go to the conclusion part. So it should be very clear. That means in research methodology, we should have a proper step-by-step process and the methodology as well as methods or techniques you should mention, and it should be clear and complete thing. Next slide, methods and materials. So here, normally when you are doing this methodology, what are the things should be included in this that we are going to see? Provide information on exactly how to do the experiment. So here we have to mention clearly that how we are going to do the research and what are the purpose of the research and what are the stages of research, that we have to mention. There, the part of this part, methods and material, the subjects, sample preparation techniques, sample origins from where you are going to collect the samples, field site description, data collection protocol, methods of data collection, how you are collecting all these things, data analysis techniques, any computer programs used, if anything used, some statistical package or anything if you are using for analysis, that should be mentioned. Description of equipments and its use, if it's related to some biotechnology or medical terms, what are the equipments used and what is its use, all these things we should mention. Normally when you are writing these methods and materials, the common mistakes the investigator or the author will do that too little information. There they may not, in many articles or many proposals we can see that they may not mention, either they may not mention that the methods he or she used to collect the data, or they may not use the statistical tool used for that analysis or the software used for that. These things they may hide, or knowingly or unknowingly they may leave that. So it is not acceptable practice. Information from introduction, and someone will do that the continuation of introduction here, it is also not acceptable thing, because information is clearly mentioned there, introduction part is clearly mentioned there. There is no need to again give another introduction here. So here purely you mentioned about your methods. What are the methods you are using for the analysis? That is, what are the techniques you are using for the analysis, and what are the materials you needed for the analysis. All these things you have to mention there. And verbosity. Verbosity means if you are using more words rather than needed. So no need of that. Writing lot of stories or giving brief introduction or giving a lot of things about that. That is not needed. Clear, short, readable, and conscious. That's enough. Expected result and sources of error reported. All these things should not be included here. We will have another part for writing this expected result and error reporter and everything. We will have in that part only you can write for that. Because the content of each part should be clear and it should be relevant to the title. So if you are writing about methods and materials, it should include only methods and materials. Then the next thing is parts of research methodology. Now, as I told you, the major parts we have seen in the previous slide, that subject, sample origin, field, data collection, all these things. So there we should crisply write study design. How that is methodology, how we are including the design. Then population, what is the sample, how we, that I told you, how we are collecting sample data and everything, and what is the population of the study, and what is the sample of the study, sample size, what you selected and how you are selected, and what are the instruments you used, and what are the process you are doing for the research. All these things you are clearly mentioned. So let us see what is study design. A study design is a specific plan or protocol for conducting the study. So that is the methodology, or that is the exact work of your research. So here the step-by-step things we are conducting for the study should be mentioned, which allows the investigator to translate the conceptual hypothesis into operational one. So there we will think about conceptual. Initially, based on the concept only, we in literature review, based on the concept only we created. So from that concept, we are translating it into operational one, implementation part. We are explaining about the implementation, but how we are calculating, how we are implementing our assumptions into a realistic one, that we are mentioning. The study design should be stated clearly. Again, this part also clearly, because in a research proposal, we should not write lot of stories anywhere. Everything should be crisp and clear. It should be stated clearly. The study design used should be appropriate for achieving the objective. So it should relevant to the objective, because this study design we created based on the objective only. So based on this study design, we should reach to the objective part. Next one, the population or sample size. It is important to describe the study population. What is the, for example, if I am doing a research in a particular area in Tamil Nadu, I should identify the population. That means, for example, if I am doing LPG uses in Tamil Nadu, I am taking a data for some analysis related to LPG uses. So first I should identify how many LPG uses are in Tamil Nadu. That is my population. From that, I cannot go and collect all the details from all the people, because out of 6 crore people, most probably 5 crore or 5.5 crore are using this LPG. So I cannot meet this 5.5 crore people, and I cannot collect data from them. So I will work with a sample. So sample should be from a particular area or particular district or particular taluk or particular panchayat, or if I am taking a particular 1 or 2 panchayat from each district, or a particular area from each district, or a southern range, or any part, or 3 districts, or it's up to me. I am selecting area of study. Based on that, I can identify population sample size from how many people I am going to collect the data. That is sample size. I have to mention that. Then the method that I told you, on which basis I am selecting this sample. That means my study area, on which basis I am selecting, how study subjects would be selected, how we are collecting the data, and how I am selecting the person from whom I am going to collect. All these things should be mentioned clearly. Then that means there I should always clearly mention that minimum sample required and how it is arrayed. That is minimum how much sample I needed for this analysis. And
it's
how
slide number 21.
the slide number 24.
Okay.
So 24 sample size heading.
Yes. 24 and
So minimum sample I required for my analysis and how I am going to collect this data. Because I can use any method. For example, questionnaire, I can give questionnaire and collect that data, or I can ask questions, or some other methods I can use. Any data analysis method, data collection method I can use. Or otherwise I can interview them, or something like that. Any method I can use for that sample collection. That method I should mention. In which way I am going to collect this information from my sample size or my sample. Then description of process. The process should be explained clearly. The proposal should include the details of all process to be adopted in the study. All the process which are used to reach to my output or expected result, that I have to mention there. How exposures, outcome variables, and other variables are going to be measured should be described in detail. So all the variables, all parts we are included in this analysis. Input variable as well as output variable and expected output variable, all these things we have to mention. And all these things we have to clearly explain. A brief description of how the data will be processed and use of statistical packages, if any. The data, how we are going to process, how we are going to implement, and as well as how we will get the result. All these things we have to mention over here. Then, what statistical test? Now, I can say that once I complete the statistical package, I used this one, or the statistical software or any other software for implementation I have used. I can go to the test which all I am using to identify or satisfying this hypothesis. Okay, I have to go to that thing. Based on this test only, I can identify the significance of the study. Because whether this study is relevant or not, and how much relevant, all these things I can identify. How much accuracy I can find from this analysis, or how much accurate I can prescribe or decide about the result. All these things can be identified from this slide. Then, next thing, the figures and tables should be included in the proposal if needed. If you are having some figures or tables, it should be included. Because when you are implementing some methodology, it might have some tables or figure or something. If it's there, you can include. In case of tables, there presents list of numbers or text in columns. So normally in many tables we cannot see serial numbers or headings for the table or first row for the table. So it should be clearly presented. Serial number should be there, heading for that particular column should be there. All these things should be clear, and text within the columns and within each cell should be clearly mentioned. Normally, someone will do that, type the table somewhere and copy and paste here. Once you are copying and pasting here, the clarity will not be clear. It should be avoided. If we are creating some table, that table and the content of the table should be clear in the proposal. Then similarly, figure, visual representation of the results or illustration of concept or methods can be represented by the mean of graphs, images, diagrams, etc. So it will create a visual impact in your proposal, this table and figure, because the reader can easily identify or easily judge what you are going to say, okay, with the help of table or graphs. Then captions are very, very important for any table or figure.
Hello.
And it must be
Hello,
a standalone one, because whenever we are following different method of writing.
From Zoom or YouTube?
Sorry?
Joined in Zoom, vacant is there. No Google Meet, Zoom. You want to visit Zoom ID? No, I will send the Zoom ID to you. Okay.
Okay. So this caption for any table or figure should be clear, because it should be a standalone. Someone will write table number 1, something about this, not like that. While reading that caption, a reader can easily identify what is the benefit or what is the content of that table or what is the plus point in that table or in that figure. So again, I am using the same terminology, crisp and clear word that we have to mention. Then guidelines for preparing a figure or table. Let's say I told you, when copying from somewhere, it may lose their clarity. To better avoid that, once you are pasting some figure or table, it should have a high resolution, neat, legible labels. Let's say I told you, label should be clear, content should be clear, and should be neat, and a figure should have high resolution. Then only it can be seen very clearly. Otherwise, you can see a blur image. From that, a reader cannot identify what is exactly the value of that graph. Then it should be a simple thing and clearly formatted thing. If there is some error, indicate that error. Give a detailed caption for that. These things you should follow for a figure or a table. Then, once you complete the methodology, methods, figure, table, and everything, then we will move on to time frame and work schedule. So here we have to mention when, as I told you, when you are going to start the work and when you are going to close the research, as well as each part of analysis should have a specified milestones, that is work schedule. That particular schedule, particular part, when you are going to start and when you are going to conclude, or when you are going to close that. So based on that period of work, the proposal should include the sequence of tasks to be performed, the anticipated length of time required for its completion, and the personnel facilities required. That is the sequence of tasks, as I told you, step-by-step procedure. Which one is going to do first? What is the next one? What is the next one? Like that is sequentially we are mentioning.
Done. You can check now.
The length of time required for its completion, the entire research work completion, we have to mention, specify each module time as well as the end of time. For example, I am starting a 6 months, I'm doing a 6 months project. First month, what I should complete. second month what I should complete, third month what I should complete. Likewise, on the end of 6 months, I should complete the entire research work. Sometimes it may happen. Sometimes it may complete earlier or it may extend for a few months. So that time we can apply for extension if it's not completed. But initially, whenever you are preparing the proposal, normally the authorities, they are asking for the proposal, they will give the specific time for the research work, 1 year project, 2 year project, or 6 months project, or 4 years project, like that. So based on that specification, you can mention the time frame for your project or your proposal or your research work. It can be presented in tabular or graphic form because, as I told you, visualization of the content. Flowcharts and other diagrams are often useful for highlighting the sequencing and interrelationship of different activities in the step. So if you are giving that flowchart, there it's mentioned the flow of control. What will happen first? How many period, how many days or how many weeks are needed to complete that particular task? From here, we are moving to this task. There a flow of control will be there. So the second task, how many period, how many days or weeks are needed there, and from there we are moving to which task. That task mentioned. Then how long it will take to complete that particular task. Like this flow of control you can mention. So it can give a clear and easy understanding. Then facilities, as I told you, the facilities already available and the facilities required, that also we have to mention. The proposal also include the important facilities required or available. So in a research laboratory or in a research center, you might have a 2 system or some instrument for the analysis that is already available. If you need one more instrument, that is required. So you have to mention these all are available already. Requirement for this proposal for this research work as this one and this one. Likewise, you can mention. For example, computer laboratory or specific equipment. Then personal requirement, that I told you initially. These are facility requirement and personal requirement. Personal requirement means it include who is the principal investigator or primary investigator and who all are the co-investigators. That we should mention clearly. And what are the qualification of the principal investigator and co-investigators, and what are the research experience they are having, how many years of experience they are having, what are the projects they have completed, all these things, brief description about the investigators, that we have to mention clearly. The proposal may also include the major roles to be taken up by different investigators. So each investigators will do different things, and moreover, everyone should be aware of that. What is their role and responsibility? That should be mentioned clearly. Then, the most important part of the proposal is that a budget. So based on this budget only, that particular amount will be allocated and period of time will be specified for amount allocation. All these things happen based on the budget only. The budget translates project activities into monetary terms. It is a statement of how much money will be required to accomplish the various tasks. So this is a task by, where I told you clearly the period of task completion that will correlate with this budget. So for completing first task, how much amount is needed? For completing second task, how much amount is needed? For completing third task, how much amount is needed? Like that, we once you are mentioning the budget, entire budget, the government or the private bodies will allocate their money in each period. Someone will allocate the entire money in a single stretch, but other organization, government organization and the other private organization will allocate. If the budget is high, they will allocate periodically. Based on the completion of each work, they will allocate the money for that project. It will happen. Then, once you are preparing the budget, you should include various things for this budget, which are salary for the staff, travel expenses of the staff. You can include all these things in budget. So how many persons are going to work for that project and how much salary you are going to give for that particular person. And if you want to collect travel from some place to another place for collecting a sample or collecting the information or collecting the data, the travel expenses you have to mention. And if you are giving the facilities needed for the research, that purchase equipments, that what are the things you needed, the budget for that equipment. Then printing or xeroxing expenditure for preparing the reports. Then consultancy charges, if anything there. Then institutional overhead or expenses, like that. If you are using the institutional resources in a research institute, if you are using room for computer, light, fan, network, everything, that expenditure you can include. All this you can include in your research work. Then after that, you can go for outcome. Based on all these things, you are mentioning the outcome. That is, what do you expect the result to be? That is your expected result. Whether it's measurable result or not, you will get a degree. Normally, in a measurable result, once you complete the research, you might, that initially I told you, the benefit for the person. As I told you, 3 benefits, either for the society, either for the field, or finally for the particular researcher. He might get a degree, or he might get a new patent, or he might publish a paper on this. Then qualitative outcomes. Contribute understanding to subject, new technology application. This is a contribution to the society or to the subject area. Then 2 more parts are there, which are acknowledgement and references. Acknowledgement is that if you are giving thanks to someone, or for example, if you are getting this data, for collecting this data, someone is supporting you, or if you are collecting the data from a hospital or some other places. So that is, so we are acknowledging to the head of that hospital or that particular person of that hospital, like that. Or you are having a guide, but he is not a part of your research or this study, then you can acknowledge him, like that. Or someone gave a consultation on this, you can acknowledge them. Then references. References we will see later, because there are different methods of references, that will we see later. But references means that for, I told you, literature review or the methodology, whenever we are creating a literature review or methodology, we are studying something, or we are identifying the concept, or we are implementing the concept. What is the base work for that? From where you got the information, what all the things you refer, all these things comes under this reference. That are all the journals or all the books or everything that comes under this things, that comes under reference only. Then once you complete the proposal, once you edited this everything, you can revise and edit, because until you get satisfaction, you revise your proposal. Then only you can create a flow-free proposal. Otherwise, somewhere will be a flaws, somewhere will be an error. So read it again and again, and revise your work. Daily, you back a proposal every day. So read and prepare and think about that. what is the supporting, all these things, supporting documents and background story, all these things, read and prepare again. You are prepare means you are not going to write again. You are editing in your proposal. Always print on paper and edit it. That's always a better habit, because whenever you are taking it as a printout, you can carry it with you. Whenever you are having free time, you can read and edit there, and it will give more readability for you. It will be easy for you. Instead of keeping a soft copy, reading again and reading, instead of that, you can keep it as a hard copy. Use standard font for that, for printing. Normally we will call it as a Times New Roman, 12 page, then 1.5 line spacing, all these things. Standard font and a format, and a count number of pages you are preparing the proposal, and read out loud if needed. Read it loudly and identify the errors or grammar mistakes or spelling mistakes, whatever it may be. And more of that, whenever you are preparing the proposal, do not write too much lines in a paragraph. Maximum a paragraph should have 5 to 8 lines. That's maximum. 5 to 8 lines, and remaining split into another paragraph. So once someone is looking into your proposal, it should have a impressive structure, because you are creating 5 to 8 lines. Paragraph means in a page you might have at least 2 to 3 paragraphs. So splitting it into a paragraph, so it will create an impression, as well as it will give a easy readability for that content. So this is about article writing, proposal writing. Once you complete the proposal, some scientific misconduct you may create in your proposal. That may be included gift investigator, because, for example, I have completed my PhD, but my guide helped me a lot already. So without his knowledge, I am adding him as an investigator here. Or for some monetary benefits, I'm getting money from someone and adding him as an investigator in my project. This is a misconduct. I should not do that at all. Then a redundant proposal. That is, we are including lot of useless things. That means that proposal is not useful for the society. As I told her, there is no contribution from the part of that proposal. Such things we are calling as a redundant proposal. And some plagiarisms there, because nowadays plagiarism is very, very, very important thing, and very consciously it will be checked. Then fabrication. Fabrication means falsification something, manufacturing something without analyzing data properly, or without doing the research properly. We are fabricating. In some cases, we are analyzing some information. We may get negative result, but the investigator will not reveal that. He will project it as a positive result. So manufacturing something. Then falsification, giving a false information as an output. Then conflict of interest. So here, based on my personal interest or for my personal benefit, I should change the content, or I should change the analysis or something. I am working in that proposal for my personal interest or for my personal benefit, or I am adding some investigator who is giving money to me. All these things will be considered as a scientific misconduct. So here, let me see, we reach to 8:15. So I'm not going detail about this. Simply I will passing the slides. So plagiarism, as we know that we are copying someone's idea or words or something, that is called as a plagiarism, without giving a proper citation or without giving the authority to the person. For example, I am copying from X without I am giving citation to his idea. That is considered as a plagiarism. So plagiarism may be in a different type, maybe self-plagiarism or copying someone. So it may be self-plagiarism or intentional plagiarism. That means intentionally I am copying from somewhere, then patchwork paraphrasing, unintentional plagiarism. These are the types of plagiarism. Normally, copying something means intentionally I am copying and producing it. Patchwork means while I am getting a data from someone, for example, I am taking 10 journals, 10 articles, and I am taking first sentence from first article, second sentence from second article, third sentence from third article, fourth sentence from fourth article. Like that, I am creating a new article from this 5 article. That is known as patchwork. And paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is nowadays very common in researches because copying a sentence or a paragraph from someone and there in MS Word or some other software, right click, synonyms, change the word. Likewise, because if 3 words continuously copied from someone, it will be identified as a plagiarism. So the others will do that. One word will be changed into another thing, another word, the same meaning. The changed word will have same meaning. So likewise, in the middle, they will change. So that is also considered as a plagiarism. And unintentional plagiarism, that is without the knowledge of plagiarism or without knowing that they may copy something, copying some figure. Okay, like that, something. I will show some example. This is a patchwork. Then this is the patchwork method. This paraphrasing. Here paragraphs are changing. So here you can see that from a copied thing, here and there I have changed the sentences. Paraphrasing. In slide number 47, you can see that. So somewhere I am changing the word here. First word will maintain same. Second word I can change. And third will use the same word, and fourth word I can change. Fifth word I use the same word. Sixth word I can change, like that, giving synonyms. So same meaning I will give, but the word will change it. Sometimes if the person is not able to maintain the meaning of the sentence, it may give another meaning because.
Slide number?
Slide number 47, sir. Paraphrasing. So there, sometimes the entire sentence will give another meaning. If the person is having familiarity in English, it will give another meaning because when you are right clicking and giving the equivalent meaning, there you can find 5 to 6 words relevant to this word. But the meaning may vary while you are inserting that word. So it should be very clear, even though it is considered as a plagiarism. Then unintentional means without the knowledge. Maybe the author may not be aware of plagiarism. That may happen somewhere. So better to avoid this plagiarism, write in your own style. Write your own words. Write in your own ideas. You can always refer others' document or you can do literature review, but you should write in your own words. What they is telling, what another person is telling, that you can write in your own words. So there is no chance for plagiarism. And if you are taking someone's quotes or someone's words, acknowledge the source properly with the citation. Give proper citation for the authors. This is the best thing. So simply be honest and complete your research work. This is the best way to avoid plagiarism, because nowadays, previously there is an option for giving quotation and give citation if you are copying from someone else. Nowadays it is not possible, because if you are giving citation also, it will consider as a plagiarism. So better avoid all these things and write in your words. That's the only method. And for their giving quotations, there are different methods. Normally the common method we are using are MLA style or APA or Chicago quotation methods. And now we don't have time to explain that all. That's why I'm moving to the next slide and moving fast. So I am showing a few examples that because anyhow, if a plagiarism in your proposal or in your article, it may be identified at any point of time, maybe sooner or later. That's the difference. If it's sooner, well and good. If it's later, you will feel lot because of that, because journals will block your authorship and everything will happen like that. Normally, plagiarism detection is based on two things: manual detection and software detection. So manual means a reviewer can easily identify the style analysis of the content. Because each author will have a different flow of writing. So if that style is changed, we can easily identify. Then text matching can be identified based on previous exceptions or previous experience. All these things he can easily identify, a reviewer can easily identify. Then moreover that the systems of, because previously there was a review system. Now before going to the review, the editor itself send it for plagiarism, and if it's, because many researchers may get the result that some journal will tell you that your article is not matched the scope of the journal. Many of the participants may receive this mail from the journals. Once you are submitting your article to the reputed journals, they may, after 2 or 3 days or 1 week, they will send a mail that your article or your title is not matching with the scope of the journal. It means that in 90% of cases, your plagiarism level is higher than the expected level. Better always keep below 10% of plagiarism. Some journal will tell you that if below 15%, even though you can keep below 15% of plagiarism. That is always better thing. So there you will not violate any ethical things. So if a journal or if some reviewer is identifying your article or your proposal as a plagiarism thing, then immediately they will retract your article. Your article will be removed from the publishing. Even after 5 or 10 years also, there is a chance for removal. So you can see that some researchers will do in case of tables and graph also some falsification, like that changing light, making light variation or cutting half of the values, like that in a table also. But even though it is also considered as a plagiarism. In for example, slide number 69. Here you can see that plagiarism, the same graph is repeatedly produced in each year. First it was produced in 11th February 2020, then 18th October 2001, then December 2001, the same graph. So it is plagiarism. The second and third publication is considered as a plagiarism. And the next slide, you can see that another graph, slide number 70. So this is also plagiarism. The article, the journal name also I have mentioned where it has been published. So there you can see that slight changes will be there. Something may be hide or something may be generated. That in the right side you can see that first figure 20 nm is there. It is removed and A is mentioned there. And at the bottom they mentioned 15 nm. Even though almost the same thing. So it is considered as a plagiarism. So in the next slide, you can see that the various softwares you can use for plagiarism checking. So there I have mentioned a few free online softwares and paid softwares. The initial stage of writing research proposal, you can go for this free online softwares, but preferably I suggest you to go for paid software, because in free software you may not get an accurate result. For example, in a free software you may get a below 10% of plagiarism, but if you are going for a paid software, it may raise up to 25%. it is a common thing now. So in the initial stage, you can use for free software. These free softwares are available in Google. It's a web pages. Just open that web page and put your content. Maybe a maximum 1,000 words you can include in a single stitch. So put that 1,000 words into that web page and check plagiarism. But once you complete the proposal, entire thing, go for any paid software. You need not buy that software after giving $2,000 or $5,000. Someone will give you service about that checking a single article or a proposal. They are collecting 60 rupees or 100 rupees. Pay that and check your proposal with plagiarism. That will be always preferable thing. So at any stage, it may be identified and rectify your article. So better keep all these things in mind. Then writing styles and everything you complete. Then go to slide, please, sir. Please go to slide number 78. Evaluation of proposal. Before that, I told you reference. Reference once you are giving, make reference without any common mistake. Should be clear. You can refer only peer-reviewed journal, textbook, or any communications published in a reputed journal. Okay. Then evaluation process. The aim and or objective are like to be achievable in the given time period. While evaluating your proposal, these things are checked properly. Aim and objective should be completed within the period you have specified within your proposal. Everything is specified by you only, not by others. The rationale for proposed study is reasonable. The study should be reasonable and it should be for our current situation and it should have a contribution to the current scenario. The scientific design is described and adequately justified. These 3 points should be included properly in your proposal while you yourself evaluate whether you have clearly justified all these things or not. So then ask questions yourself and rectify your problem. That's the best way. Once you complete this, you can present your proposal. While you are presenting your proposal, be very confident and very clear because you have written the proposal, you know each and every point of your proposal. So presenting is another stage. Once you are completing your proposal, okay, this I would like to complete up to here. Now you will see presenting in another session afterwards if getting another opportunity. Okay, finish. I am going to complete all the things up here itself. If any queries, you can ask me now.
Yes, any queries you can raise. I will allow you participants. You can raise your hand. I will allow you. Yes. Participants, you can raise your hand. I will allow you. Any queries? Sir,
Yes, sir.
one Shalini has raised, sir, while writing the research proposal, it is necessary to do a pilot study.
Yes, definitely. That's why I told you already.
Another question is, sir, in free plagiarism, do the data which we had submitted for plagiarism will copied by others?
Yes, of course, it's a good question. Normally, previously we had a attitude like that. If we are sending something, it may be copied by someone. It is not a justified thing. There is no significance for that. Even in a free plagiarism software also, because in a normally when I did my research, I also hear that. But many times I submitted my many articles in free plagiarism tools as well as paid plagiarism tools. Till now, no one copied my article until I published it. So it's a false information. It's not a true thing.
1 minute, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes, madam.
Sir, if you don't mind, could you please clarify the difference between MLA and APA style?
Madam, now we don't have time. That's why I fastly moved to that things. Just a minute. Because in MLA style, we will for each APA or Chicago style and MLA style, we will have a different formats for each thing.
Okay.
Each, for example, if you are giving a citation for an article or a book, it will have different formats. Sir, can you go to the slide number 56?
1 minute, sir. Yes, sir.
56.
Yes,
See here, madam, here you can see that for giving direct quotation or indirect quotation or paraphrasing, you can see that different methods. At the last, I have mentioned that within bracket, the author name and the page number. This is normally we are following in MLA quotations. For direct quotation, if you are giving, there you should mention only the page number. For the case of paraphrasing, again, you should mention author name as well as page number if you are copying something from somewhere, but without mentioning the page or anything. But in case of APA or Chicago, there you should include author name as well as year of publication and page number. This is a major difference. Year of publication should be included in APA style, whether it's a indirect or direct or paraphrasing, everyone. But in case of direct, we will mention that the author in this year specifies that at the end we will mention page number. In paraphrasing, everything we will mention within the braces only. That's a major difference between MLA and the APA style.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Hello.
Yes,
Yes.
you can ask.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much for the beautiful presentation. All the things are very clear, but I just want to know one thing. That is one doubt in my mind. The doubt is about that if we are collecting the data through Google Sheets online, right? And if I'm asking some question to some participants or some respondents, like, are you aware? Just I'm giving you examples because I'm facing this problem and I'm not able to get the solution of this problem. So, sir, I'm asking some person a question whether you are like aware about any problem. The problem is like a marital rape. Are you aware about what is a marital rape? The person said no. He selected no, but further I'm asking him that whether you are giving or you should give any of the like recommendation or a solution for the problem. So he is writing the solution for the problem. So whether this data provided by that respondent is valid or not, sir, or how I can interpret it?
Actually, you can interpret that data, but their justification will not be proper.
Yeah,
because
sir.
you cannot come into a correct conclusion with the help of that data.
Yes, sir. So
Because
how I can
the
interpret
procedure,
it, sir?
because the procedure of data collection you follow, but
Yeah.
the respondents are not properly answering to you,
Yes,
then
sir.
there is no validity for such data.
So this data is like in vain and is of no use.
Exactly, if I am saying that there is no use for that analysis with the help of that data.
Okay, sir. So I
Because
can.
you can come into a proper conclusion. You cannot it.
Okay, sir. If I'm writing the conclusion, so I'm skipping all the response from that person, like or
that field of response you can omit from your analysis. That's a better otherwise. If you are
okay,
including
okay.
that,
Yes,
you
sir.
will not come into a justification at the end. So either that field you can remove if you are not getting answer properly, but
Yes,
that
sir.
field should be included in the entire study.
Okay, sir. So I have to remove that question that I'm asking.
Yes, yes. If you are not getting proper answer, then you can remove that. That is not necessary.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any question, please? Sir, one faculty has asked actually I registered PhD in 2018 due to pandemic period, unable to do anything. My research period going to 2014. Can I extend the period?
Can I extend the period? Yes, sir. Because in 2018, 5 years only, there is a possibility for extension because each university will have different system and they are collecting different amount for each year of extension. So you can contact your university immediately without wasting the time. They will collect some money for extension. With the knowledge of your guide, you contact university because university will have a extension form. Fill that form and go to university. They will tell you what is the amount you have to pay. Then you can extend that. That is not an issue.
One more question. Name the genuine app for plagiarism check.
Genuine app means I told you clearly paid. It's always better go to the paid versions. Non-paid means you will not get exact answer, exact plagiarism checking.
Another is, sir, which is the best paper journal to be published, empirical or theoretical? Which will earn more citation and impact
Once
factors?
you complete the things, you can go for things. That is always better. That can only produce exact result for you. For example, Turnitin, Authenticate, FlagScan, CopyScape. These all are the paid things. For checking plagiarism for a proposal or an article, they will charge for, if some agents are there, they will charge for 100 rupees or maximum of 150 rupees. In Google, you can find a lot of agents for that. If you are purchasing that particular plagiarism checking software, it will be too costly for you. And there is no need for that because you are not doing it.
Hello. Yes, sir. Hello.
Am I audible, sir, now?
Now audible, sir. You can go.
So better, I am telling that better you can go for paid versions. Example, Turnitin, Authenticate, or FlagScans, or anything you can use. So in Google, you can search that there are a lot of agents. They are collecting 100 or 150 rupees for checking a plagiarism of a proposal or an article. So better you approach them and get plagiarism report, because if you are trying to purchase plagiarism software, it will be too costly. And moreover, that you need not, there is no need of that software, because you are not doing it in a business minded. If you are doing business minded, okay, you can collect article from various places and various person and do plagiarism check. Otherwise, no need of that.
Yes, any question?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I'm Dr. Jayagudi from Madurai.
Professor,
So I'm Dr. Jayagudi from Madurai.
Yes, sir.
Sir, previously you just made a mentioning about taking information from respondent. We may not come to conclusion or consensus. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Participant can mute your sound.
The information which we have
Sir, your voice is
taken
not
from
clear.
such respondents
Mute
can be
the
used
audio, others.
for interpretation, and we can substantiate these piece of information for concluding, for giving concluding remark also, I think.
Yes, sir.
So sometime before you told that
Hmm.
some information given by the respondent may not be used for giving conclusion.
Hmm.
Sir, I suppose that these type of, even if it is a piece of information that can be used for our interpretation, we can substantiate some of our viewpoints by quoting, the words of the respondents. This may be
But-
helpful for us
So, but
to.
it's if a data collection, the main manners of data collection of 1,000 people, for example, 1 or 2 or 3, it's possible.
So if it is
But
an
when-
open question, we cannot concise or confine that it must be of a similar type of answer.
Hmm.
If it is an open type, that open-ended question we may get very good information, which will be also helpful for us for giving conclusion, I think.
Definitely, sir. But if there is no relevancy between
This is
continuous.
more important, and that I understand, sir. Certainly.
Yes, sir. That's it. That's it.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much, sir. That was a question coming in my mind. So my topic was on marital rape, and this will affect my conclusion if I am including that some person they are aware about that and some person they are not aware about that. If I am taking this question, then how much of the person they are aware about the thing, then this data will be irrelevant, sir. So how I'm interpreting this? So is there any other remedy that I am just leaving the response of that person only who is giving an irrelevant answer, or like I'm skipping all the questions, sir? The particular question I am just excluding from the study. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's why I'm telling you, either in this data collection method, either you identify the respondent properly.
Yes, sir.
And collect from there. That will be one way, either because if the respondents are not aware about your questions,
yes, sir,
you may not get an exact result. You cannot get an exact input from input for your study.
yes,
Such
sir.
a case of purposive sampling or judgmental sampling, probably all respondents are very appropriate for us, sir. In terms of convenient sampling, if it is a purposive or judgmental, very naturally, their information will be of very practical nature. So such information will be much useful, I suppose. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Next question, please.
So good evening, sir. I'm Swaraj, sir, from Kanchipuram. So I'm audible, sir?
Yes, audible,
Yes,
sir.
Sir, my question is that why can't we go for self-checking or with some other experts with respect to the sentences in our research article, research paper, rather than going for the tools, that is plagiarism tools, which you have mentioned, sir?
Sir, because this is for plagiarism, I'm telling you that. Because
Yeah.
if you are going for an expert, they can correct your sentence or grammar check and everything, but they cannot identify where is the plagiarism exactly. Because, for example, if I am an expert in a particular field, I cannot identify what all the articles published till date. Because as a human, we cannot identify plagiarism easily, because few things we can do. As I told you, based on the writing style and previous experience and everything, I can identify something.
Okay.
But it is not possible to the entire article, because nowadays all the journals or checking reviewing authorities are using softwares to identify plagiarism. So
Yeah, sure.
it is better to
Oh.
use a plagiarism software, because each sentence for each line might have a plagiarism. Finally,
Okay.
once you are consulting all these things, you might have a large percentage of plagiarism. A person cannot check each line of plagiarism, cannot identify easily.
Okay, understood. But my point is, if we are very confident that the writing style, we can do that. So that is what. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you are very confident that if it's your own work or anything, but
Okay.
we cannot predict that someone may use the
Okay.
same sentence earlier.
Okay.
That may happen
Okay.
because nowadays internet we are having vast number of articles.
Okay.
That's why, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Any question? Thank you, Anish Kumar.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for presentation. All the it is very helpful for the faculty members and also the research scholars who had joined this program, writing the proposal and writing article. You are explained clearly about the plagiarisms, how to remove plagiarism, what are the sources available, and what are types of plagiarism. Thank you, Anish. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you,
night
sir.
to
Thank
all.
you very much.
Thank you. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you. Please submit the feedback. It's available in your WhatsApp, group WhatsApp.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much
thank
for
you,
the
sir.
transcription.
Thank you.